Hello, welcome back to Inside Music Curation. We're the team at Feed Media Group, and we're here every month talking about music trends. And today is a very exciting, monumental day for us. We're celebrating our 50th episode. So thank you everyone who has tuned in to Inside Music Curation over the last couple of years. It's been really fun to talk. Oh man, we've done album releases. We've done deep dives on genres. We talk music and businesses because that's what we do. And it's really fun to get together and have our 50th episode land at our end of year show where we're going to go all over our 2024 music trends. If this is the first time that you're joining us, again, Feed Media Group does music for businesses. We primarily curate music for apps, especially in the health and wellness space. And today we're going to talk about trends that we saw over 2024, both on a larger scale, as well as what we've seen across our fitness and wellness partners. So it's really fun to dive in, see what everybody's been listening to, and tap into these guys, our professional music curators that understand the industry and culture and music listening in a way beyond my comprehension. So it's always great to tap in, you guys, hear about the latest and greatest. And does anyone want to hop in and give us a little teaser or preview of our top 10 songs that we're publishing next week?
Sure, I can. So in our number one spot, we have Players by Coi Leray. Number two, Dance the Night by Dua Lipa. Number three, Baby Don't Hurt Me, David Guetta, Anne Marie, and Coi Leray.
Coi Leray coming in at number 1 and 3. Let's take a minute there.
Yeah. And then number 4, Vampire, Olivia Rodrigo, and number 5, Flowers, Miley Cyrus.
Well, it's always fun to kind of, analyze our playback data, look at the trends. We say it every year, right? Pop music continues to come out on top, and there's a reason it's pop music. It's because it's popular, which also means it evolves every year. So even just looking at, those top 5 songs, what that means for pop music. Does anyone want to chime in on what you're seeing in pop music throughout 2024?
Well, look, 2024 was a very rich year musically. And it's been written about and talked about a lot, and we saw it, and it was really a lot of fun because, straight out the gate at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of monster releases that, from major artists, Beyonce, Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, some of those that didn't make our top 10 yet because there's usually a little bit of a delayed effect in fitness, which we can talk about later. But just a lot of amazing, great music coming out this year. And some of the big headline music was definitely in pop. And so it's just been fun. It's fun. And I also think that in addition to being, considerable artistic talents releasing pop music or pop adjacent music, pop's been on a really, up tempo, like high energy, optimistic, kind of vibe lately for the last couple of years. It's been nice. It kind of came out of the lethargy and the kind of, mopey trends of the late 2010s and the early 2020s, which I think it was understandable, especially in the early 2020s because of COVID and whatnot, that it was just kind of mopey and down. We're really out. Like, we're really in a fun space with the pop music. And it's also, it's a lot easier to curate for fitness with music like that than trying to figure out, like, how do I thread the needle with this really downer music, like, hey, go get ready for your bike ride. Here's the nearest, try not to fall asleep. So I think it's a pleasure to work with that kind of music too.
Mike, how would you sum up pop music in 2024?
A lot of ladies, right? We said that about pop music last year too. That was our big, thing, and I don't mind. But it's just been wild to see such a huge influx of female artists. Excited about some new female producers as well, which is cool. Female songwriters. And it was just there was a great big giant hole. Like, what dudes put out pop music this year? I don't know.
Well, the ones that do, I think, seem to go more of the ballad route as far as, like the Benson Boones and of that nature. But I do think, like, the female artists in particular, I think what makes them rise to the top of our charts is, sort of this cross genre collaboration and embracing of, more hip hop beats, more dance beats. And so they're really able to reach and appeal to wider audiences that way too.
True.
Yeah, we did have, oh, go for it, one.
Oh, yeah. I would say one of the things about this particular list that's interesting is the diversity. A lot of times with fitness, everything falls within certain BPM ranges. And like, for example, Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire, right? It doesn't really fall in that. I think that in itself is kind of like a really cool telling story of like what empowers, right? I listen to Vampire and I want to, like, I don't know, step on my ex. I don't know. I don't really have an ex. I have my wife. But it's the thing that, like, I think that this chart really kind of tells is that, yeah, it's not just pop. It's EDM. It's, it's hip hop. It's indie pop. So I think the diversity that we have in our top 5 is incredible.
And rock, to your point, that I think of all the pop music that I can think of that I've curated with this year, the one that is the most rock leaning consistently is Olivia Rodrigo. So I love that too, that she's, she uses a lot of guitars. Like, it's one of the reasons that Vampire rips. Like, and you're right, it starts out as a ballad, like, do I want to listen to this when I work out? But like, pretty soon it punches you in the face and you're like, I'm ready to go,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got the ladies bringing it again. We've got a lot of diversity in genres and mixing of genres in our top 10. What else came out? I know, we talked about a lot of ladies, but we also had a new addition this year, which is Paul Russell. Juan, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Russell, and I'll be honest with you, I really had no idea who Paul Russell is, right? In the same vein as, like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago, I didn't really know who Jason Derulo was, right? But there are these clever musician, producer, writer types that are able to create really fun hits. And when it comes to fitness, this guy's already released like 2 what I consider hits, right? Because he's not only hitting the tempos, but he's also providing that like uplifting tonality into, like, the music. But anyways, my point to that is, I think that guy is going to be on the rise. He's really he's delivering pop that I think is very just needed today. Just really fun R&B up tempo. Like, it's good stuff.
That's great. So we've got some newcomers on the list, and then, a lot of Sten's kind of noted to the fact that, it takes maybe a year for things to really climb up the fitness chart, right? Because it's over the year and not just what's hot right this minute. And we also have, one of the older songs that made the chart this year, Cruel Summer, right? Like, that came back. That's a 2019 song that found its way into the top 10. Claire, do you want to talk a little bit about, why songs like that might pop up?
Yeah. I mean, the first and easiest explanation is that, Taylor Swift is the exception to any sort of business rule you might try to make when promoting music. But I think, her tour lasted the entirety of 2024. And so there's really a lot of, sort of this regionality excitement in sustaining sort of like those types of plays. This song in particular really is a sort of like tentpole example of her commitment to the bridge and sort of transferring that to her fans. And it's a big, like, powerful moment in the live show. In addition to, the sort of some other circumstances of, it would have been promoted as a single summer of 2020. And then that just didn't make sense. And so, when the tour kicked off, it kind of like gave it, in addition to them, promoting it to radio and everything, it gave it its moment. And that's what we got to see.
Yeah, we're talking 2024 music trends. Obviously, you can't go without talking about Taylor Swift. And then I think, the other big trend that we saw this year was Brat. Like, you could not hide from Brat this year. Does anyone want to speak a bit to that?
I would love to. I can't resist. So Brat, in and of itself, Brat was amazing. And I think, Charlie XCX has every right to feel proud in manifesting this, really cannily leveraging all the social media combined with all the traditional label efforts to create something that had, massive sustained virality. I think I can look at it in two contexts. One, as a lifelong music lover with no kind of contextual necessity of how I'm going to use this music. It's an awesome album. It is the top album on Metacritic for the whole year across all the critics. When they average it all out, it's the top album of the year. And then it's also, it's pop too. So it's a banger, and it got all the way up on the Billboard charts and top 40 charts as it deserved. And then at Feed, we were really proud and excited because it's the first time we've ever had an exclusive station for our customers that was artist oriented. We worked with the label Warner Music Group. We're grateful for them. And and Claire did a tremendous job of curating a Brat station that we gave to our customers. And so, contextually for fitness, Brat was just completely on point. It hit the cultural zeitgeist. It was hot. It was, appropriate for fitness workouts, right? Like it's got that like bratty energy, but also like really playful too. So like bratty and playful, put me on. I'm ready to go on that one too. So, Brat was a great moment for the culture at large in music, and it was a great moment for Feed, and the first of many exclusive stations we're going to be providing to our customers.
Yeah, it was really fun to see, again, Brat kind of take over pop culture and then find a way, as Feed FM to help brands lean into that and be a part of this pop culture moment, right? And seeing some of our customers everywhere from, fitness apps to, robotic massages. People were tuning into Brat Radio as a part of these experiences and these emerging platforms. So it's really exciting to see how music affects culture in all of these new ways. So we talked Taylor Swift, we talked Brat, Koi's at the top, and a little nod to this with the guitars and Vampire, but rock is on the rise. We are seeing more rock, not only kind of, come into the top 10, but Juan, where are you seeing rock fit into the work that we're doing at Feed FM? And how does that compare to what's going on in the genre at large?
Yeah, I mean, so rock has finally risen, and not from the dead. There was a great article that Claire wrote, I believe it was a year ago or a year and a half ago, about pop punk, and it was highlighting MGK and Travis Barker, and like legitimately that was like the ignition point for where we are today. I think that like in the last year, what we've seen is a lot of new acts, right? Like net new acts that are coming through and, just performing very well, like Spirit Box, Turnstile, Knocked Loose. Knocked Loose just played a Jimmy Kimmel late night show. I think it was like over Thanksgiving break. And they also got nominated for a Grammy. And even though in the large spectrum of where, pop is top, right? And we're not saying that they're not top, but as an emerging, or not emerging because, it's a genre, but as a genre that's kind of coming back into favor, rock is coming in strong. I mean, not only do we have net new acts, we're having like, a lot of like, not necessarily nostalgia acts, right? But like Green Day released a record, right? And the record did really well. Better than what other people, or actually better than the last record they did. And also, they were celebrating like 20 years of certain records. They had an outstanding tour that they had throughout the United States. I believe most of those dates are all sold out.
I think you hit on that too. I think one thing, I don't know if we've even talked about this, but when you think about coming out of the pandemic, when nobody could tour, and now all of a sudden the floodgates are open, like rock music lends itself really well to getting out there, hitting the pavement, touring, playing these venues, putting on a show. And we're seeing it happen. We're seeing 30-year anniversaries. We're seeing 20-year anniversaries. We're seeing, these bands coming back and playing their hits, their catalogs, re-releasing albums. They're really releasing on vinyl. So I do think that, this kind of resurgence in live music is playing a lot to the, what makes rock great.
And it's very cyclical, right? Because it's just like, Barracuda, right, is one of our top performing songs. And then you also see something like Paramore, Misery Business, as a top performing song. And it's like that legacy, that kind of like what, the sharing of generations, that also expands the reach of where rock goes. And so that we're all kind of tied all up in a bow, right? Where we're seeing that now in our business, right? Is that, we're having brands come to us, hey, we want a she-rock station, or we want a pop punk station, we want a yacht rock station, we want a classic rock station. And you're starting to see people developing that view of where they want to, grab their audience, because that's the thing. Rock has such an expansive audience, and to be able to kind of sift through that, and especially with, all of these changes and all these changes and all the highlight that it's been given in the last couple of years, and especially now, it's making it better for us to curate with rock. And there it is.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I'm going to jump in there just to say, I think I could listen to you talk about rock all day, Juan. I think it highlights one of the superpowers we have as a company at Feed FM, that we have our curation team. We each have, well, we can curate anything is the reality, not to be immodest, but I think we each have our relative strengths. And, Juan moonlights with an incredible heavy metal band. And so the kind of the rock pedigree that you have, and the, years in the trenches of listening and scouting, and, you were humble to shout out Claire's, article from 2 years ago, and smart. But two of the pieces you've authored in the last year that I've loved reading was the piece about Green Day, and then a piece where you got your ear to the ground there with like some of the artists that are breaking really, really big in rock. We know it first, and it's because of you. Like Knocked Loose and Spirit Box were actually a couple of the rock artists, or the artists that you highlighted in a blog article early in the year. And again, they're starting to break right now. So, we stay attuned to the stuff that is breaking right now, and we also have attunement to what is going to break. So we keep, for our customers, we're always on we're cool hunters, right? We're on the cool hunt for what is going to be the next thing you're going to want to know about. We actually help with music discovery.
I think we also do a really good job of balancing that with, what people know and love, right? And we talk about that in our curation strategy all the time. Requests that we get from instructors and brands, and, some of the bands that Juan was mentoring, some of the instructor favorites, lean into the classic, like nostalgic hits, throwback. And when we look at our top genres, pop is always the biggest piece of the pie. But this year, rock jumped up 2 spots, and it just went past throwback. And I think that, the rock and throwback both have nods to some of the classic hits there. And it's a reminder that people still want to hear what's familiar. It's why these reunion tours and anniversary tours are so successful, because you can tap into that nostalgia. You can blend it with some of the new hits. And now we're in a point in time where there's some new rock music that's really, really making waves, and it's a fun time to curate.
And we got to talk about country, because it's a huge year for country. And I would love to hear from Mike and Claire on country, because, Mike, again, we have a really diverse skill set. Mike's been in radio for his whole career, so he knows what's going on with, across the mainland with country, but now it's getting to be everywhere, streaming. And Claire is a lifelong country lover. So what's going on in country, folks? Mike, can you set it off? You had some instincts about why country is starting to pop really big.
Well, I think, the word is going to be crossover, right? I think what's happening now is, and it just so happens that I moved to Nashville, and all of a sudden over the past year, everybody's coming here to write their songs. So, you've got Beyonce coming here and writing with country writers, Post Malone, MGK. I think Lana Del Rey's got a country-leaning album coming out next year. She was here writing. Ed Sheeran is here writing all the time. So I think as the pop artists come to try to get new influences, what's also happening is songwriters are moving and setting up shop here in Nashville, and they're bringing all of their influences from what they specialize in, where they're coming from too. So there's like hip hop writers and hip and rock producers here, and what's coming out of Nashville right now is just this sort of, you know, amalgamation of all different genres. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's been it's a slow process, as even just as a microcosm. Country music is slower to adapt and change as far as like, different formatting, and there's a deep honoring in history there as well. And but I do think like, newer even and younger fan bases of country are open to just that sort of collaborative influence, knowing that the traditionalism is important in some ways, and in other ways you don't have to be fearful of new sounds in that realm, and that the newer songs and artists can be both things, and still advance the genre in the mainstream for sure. I think like it's becoming less sort of like isolated as a genre fan base, and there can be more like casual fans of some country, not like you have to like versus entire genre loyalty in that way.
Yeah, there's not the it's sort of the old guard isn't in charge as much anymore, right? So where you used to be like, you would be spoon fed what the folks in charge of terrestrial radio would give you, but now even with our fitness clients, country stations are some of the bigger genre specific stations, and so as curators we can go, you know what, nobody's telling us what to do. This song is something that's country-ish and you can work out to it. Here you go. So we're able to, obviously it's a balance of like, providing the most familiar stuff that people know and want to hear, but then feeding them a little bit of new stuff too that might be a little bit left of center.
Yeah. And like the Shabuzi, a bar song, is a great example of like, that's absolutely dominated pop radio, but lives in has a foot in the country space, regardless of who thinks so or not.
I think
go for it.
Yeah, one of the cool things about, and I fall into the casual listener fan, and one of the things that I see more as the years go is the maturity of a lot of this crossover. So like if we were to say Old Town Road was like the impetus of that to Shabuzi, like I can listen to Shabuzi like a lot. It's a super easy song to listen to, but not only that, it just feels mature. And I mean, to that degree, what I'm saying is that the music is getting better. And for those reasons, I think that like country is only going to continue to grow.
Yeah. And all of the genres are evolving at the same time, right? And so I think when you first start seeing those collaborations and those like crossover songs, it can feel jarring, or even come across as jarring. And then as both genres continue to evolve and have all of these other influences, it settles into something much more expectable.
Yeah, and just one example of that, like where what would have been jarring to the point where you're, I wouldn't say upsettingly jarring, but just like, wow, that's really weird, isn't weird anymore. Like there's a Moneybagg Yo song with, was it Morgan Wallen? I can't remember. It's called Whiskey or something. And it's like, it works, right? And it's kind of another way of saying what Juan said. And I love Old Town Road. It is an awesome song. And Lil Nas X made that basically, I guess, in his bedroom or whatever. So mega props. But like, you can kind of see the stitches, if you will, right? But now it's like so organic. You hear a song like that Whiskey song of Moneybagg Yo, and do you know who it was, Claire? And it's like, it's just completely seamless.
Yeah. I think where Old Town Road felt almost like jarring to accept initially, the transition into both, like either whether it's Shabuzi or the Moneybagg Yo Morgan Wallen song of like the fit seems much more natural than it did then.
I mean, yeah, even when on the rock side, when Hardy came out, the country purists were like, what is this? This is not country. And now they're going to see him live a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think, you know, and this is I don't want to take us too much off topic, but I feel like when we have this conversation next year or maybe in 2 years, it's going to be a lot less about what's happening in each genre, and we're going to, because genre is blending, you know, and I feel like in a year or 2 or 3 we're going to be talking more about like mood based music and less about, you know, what's happening in this specific, you know, genre.
Yeah, and I'm gonna.
That wants to talk to you about mood-based music. I mean, that's how curating for brands, you know, whether it's fitness, whether it's wellness, whether you guys are putting together a meditation station or a high-impact fitness station, mood is really, you know, the new genre. Stens, what were you going to say?
I just was going to soapbox it for a minute and just say, and I appreciate you bringing it back to the business we do, but I think as kind of the higher aspiration and why I love music is the unifying aspect in humanity of that, you know, we look different, we talk different, we sing different, and we're all fundamentally the same. So like truly the cross genre thing and artists coming together and making music that is seamlessly, organically connected, to me, it's just it's a healing force. Music is a powerful and amazing healing force that we need more and more and more of. And as there's more of this cross-pollination musically, it's like, you know, it's not unusual to see Beyonce making country music. Like it's not unusual to see, you know, Jelly Roll, who I don't adore by any means, but this guy that's had this like real hard luck life just getting massive coverage, and people see themselves in this guy, whether they're a rock fan or a country fan. It's good for humanity, right? And so to be able to provide that to our customers and their end users is really a privilege to always learn. We're always learning about music. We get off work, and I guarantee you every one of the people you see here will be dipping into like a documentary about music or a music magazine or putting on the latest release. So it's a 24/7 profession we do.
100%. Well, we're getting close to time, but it wouldn't be an end of year wrap up if we didn't make some, you know, you can call it predictions about next year, but what do you want to see next year? I mean, even tapping into some of the things that you were talking about, Stens, like where do you want to see music go next year to continue to foster that?
We haven't talked about hip hop, and just because so much else is going on. I mean, Kendrick Lamar the past 2 weeks he's been working on it all year, but it was basically like, yo, I'm back and you better pay attention. I mean, I just think, God, you know, he's truly trying, whether you like him or not, with his artistry, he's really trying to do something much bigger than make a song, right? He's trying to say something. He's trying to build atop the 50-year hip hop tradition and advance it and respect it. And basically he's kind of, my distillation of this album is like, this album is a banger. You can dance to it and you can party to it, but make no mistake, I'm saying deep, significant stuff here that needs to be heard and understood as how we as human beings can and should be. And it's like, it's brave because he's like not afraid to be like, all this partying and all this other stuff that's happening in the culture and influencers and social media, like, let's try to be better, right? And so I'm sorry, I'm getting really soapboxy here, but I guess my prediction here is like more Kendrick power, more hip hop power, you know, like using power to do good things, right? And you can take that power when you have a powerful song and you put it into fitness context, boom, now you got double power.
Now you're empowering others too. Yeah.
I got to leave airtime. I didn't leave airtime. I want to hear from my colleagues though.
I guess my, you know, sort of what I want to see in 2025, I think, you know, either as a prediction, you know, we'll still see a lot of great women in pop continuing. I know Lady Gaga started her sort of release for her next album. Disease is a really, you know, sort of hard-hitting dark pop song. So it'll be sort of interesting to see what the rest of that project looks like. And yeah, it's, I think, an exciting aspect.
Yeah, and I don't know how much we talked about Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, but you know, eager to see what's next from those as well.
Yeah, we've got new records coming from Kesha. We've got Lord working on new music. The Lana Del Rey record's going to come out. I think Tate McRae's got a full length.
Yeah.
What's her name? Lisa from Blackpink, I think, is
Mhm.
going to put a full album out. So yeah, there's going to be they're making our job a lot easier, just in terms of serving up some great new pop stuff.
Yeah.
What do you want to see next year, Mike?
Well, I'm excited about, I was just kind of sniffing around because I knew we were going to do this discussion, and there's lots of new rock coming too. I mean, we talked about Spirit Box earlier. They got a full length coming. There's new Nine Inch Nails music coming, new Shinedown, new Five Finger Death Punch, new Papa Roach, new Disturbed. So a lot of new music from familiar artists, which again will help our case in terms of curating for rock stations for our clients. So excited for more rock music.
Juan, 2025.
You know what? I'm gonna shoot one out there, right? What I would love to see in 2025 is for people to see the opportunity in fitness. As a musician, it's incredible to see the amount of eyes, right, that you have in these certain products. And what I'd love to see is like people talking to us, saying what's up, and saying, hey, can we partner with you guys to get a little bit in this like fitness game? And it's what's interesting to me as a creator is all the avenues that are open, right, for putting your music out there. And if you have someone that's representing you and representing you correctly, I would say right now, getting into this fitness stuff is dope. It's there's so many eyes, especially outside of like Spotify, Apple Music. Like when we talk about rock, there are acts that are performing well on different services that are outside of like DSPs. And I think that that's something that is, reflected in the way that, people interact with certain social platforms, but use us. That's what I want to see in 2025. More people using us.
Yeah, I think Brat was a great example. I think we are really looking forward to more artist and label partnerships to bring some of these unique stations out to our customers and our customers' customers, and ultimately, yeah, lots of eyes, lots of ears out there. Well, to sum it up, we've talked a lot about what happened this year. In the top 10, we saw again Coi Leray, maybe the new queen of workout music, coming in at number 1 with Players. We saw old hits like Cruel Summer coming back. Lots of ladies on the chart. They're all upbeat. It's all positive messages, reinforcing what folks are doing. And if there's some takeaways for anyone trying to curate for their own brand, business, workouts, you got to go with the chart topping music, right? Like get these emotional connections. Look at the zeitgeist. What's going on? Is it a Taylor tour? Is it Brat? What's the next thing? And just kind of go along with that artist momentum and give folks a variety. I think these guys are the experts at putting the right music in front of people, so it's a great experience. And you can't go wrong with having options either. People want to have variety. They want to be able to choose between the music. We ran some surveys this year. 76% of people are more likely to download an app if they can choose the music that they listen to. And my favorite stat, 93% want to tell you what they like so that you can help personalize their experience. So if you're a brand, if you've got an app and you want to have music in it, give people choices and ask them what they want. They want to tell you, they want to have a great experience. They want to hear music that resonates with them while they're interacting with your brand, and it's going to create better connections, longer lasting relationships, and music brings us all together.
And drive the dollars, ROI.
Right. More time in app, more dollars for you. Anybody else? Anyone else to wrap this up? 2024 music trends, year in review.
I think we covered it.
Go turn on some music. And enjoy the end of the year. Happy holidays. Again, thanks for being here with us for our 50th episode. We'll be back in the new year with new topics, talking all things music curation. You can check us out at feed.fm for all the work that we're doing, learn a little bit more about what these guys are working on, some of the partners that we have, and how we're bringing music into digital experiences. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Cheers.